The laughter cut through the restaurant like a blade, sharp and careless, and it landed on her before she even realized it was meant for her. Sarah had learned to recognize that sound over the years, the kind that wasn't joyful but judgmental, the kind that carried weight heavier than her own. In that moment, sitting alone at a corner table in a modest diner somewhere in the United States, she felt the familiar urge to shrink, to disappear into the booth and become invisible. Her hands tightened around a chipped coffee mug as heat rushed to her face, and she wondered how something as simple as existing could still feel like a crime. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that empathy still matters in a world that too often forgets it. Sarah had not always been strong enough to walk into places like this alone. Years of being judged for her body had trained her to avoid public spaces where eyes lingered too long and whispers followed her steps. She worked as a night cleaner at a local office building, a job that paid little but demanded everything, and most days she came home exhausted, both physically and emotionally. Food had become her comfort after her mother passed away and her marriage quietly collapsed under the weight of neglect and shame. She carried grief in her chest and blame on her shoulders, and the scale only told part of that story. That evening, she had come to the diner because she was tired of hiding. She wanted to feel normal, even if just for an hour. Across the room, a group of co-workers from a nearby retail store sat together, their voices loud and careless. Their eyes flicked toward her more than once, and their amusement grew with each glance. Sarah kept her gaze low, pretending to read the menu she already knew by heart, telling herself that she could endure it, that she had endured worse. Still, the old ache returned, the one that reminded her of locker rooms, family gatherings, and strangers who believed her body was an invitation for cruelty. She told herself to finish her meal and leave quickly, to not let them see her pain. What Sarah didn't notice at first was the man sitting at the next table, a quiet presence with tired eyes and a young boy beside him. His name was Michael, and life had not been gentle with him either. He was a single father raising his son, Noah, after losing his wife to illness 3 years earlier. Since then, every day had been a careful balance between work, parenting, and grief. He worked as a delivery driver, often coming home late, his back sore and his heart heavier than he admitted. That night, he had brought Noah to the diner as a small treat, a way to pretend life still had room for simple joys. Michael noticed the laughter almost immediately, but more importantly, he noticed Sarah's reaction. He saw the way her shoulders curled inward, the way her smile faded into something practiced and fragile. He had seen that look before, not on himself, but on people who had learned to survive judgment by expecting it. Something in his chest tightened, not with anger, but with recognition. He glanced at Noah, who was watching the room with innocent curiosity, and Michael felt the familiar responsibility of teaching his son what kind of man to become. The laughter grew bolder, and though no words were spoken loudly enough to be called out, the intention was clear. Sarah's appetite vanished. She stared at her plate, willing herself not to cry, reminding herself that tears would only confirm what they already believed. She thought about her mother, who used to tell her that worth was not measured by size, and she wondered when she had stopped believing that. Her thoughts spiraled toward the familiar darkness, the one that whispered that she deserved this, that kindness was reserved for people who looked different. Then something unexpected happened. Michael stood up, calm and steady, and moved his chair closer to Sarah's table. The sound of the chair against the floor turned heads, including those of the laughing group. Michael didn't look at them. Instead, he focused on Sarah, offering her a presence that felt solid and intentional. He placed his jacket over the back of her chair, a small gesture that felt strangely protective, and sat down without asking, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Sarah looked up, startled, confusion replacing shame. Her first instinct was to apologize, though she didn't know why. But Michael simply sat there, his posture relaxed, his attention fully on her, as if the rest of the room no longer mattered. He began speaking about ordinary things, about the weather, about how good the diner's pie was, about how Noah had insisted on coming there because it reminded him of his mother. There was no pity in his presence, no forced cheer, just genuine humanity. The laughter behind them faded into uncomfortable silence. Noah watched the interaction quietly, absorbing something far more important than words. He saw his father choose kindness without hesitation, saw him treat a stranger with respect simply because she was hurting. Michael's calm confidence made it clear that cruelty would not be tolerated at his table. The group across the room shifted uncomfortably, their amusement replaced by embarrassment as other patrons began to notice the change in energy. For the first time in years, Sarah felt seen without being judged. Her breathing slowed, and the tightness in her chest eased. She realized that Michael wasn't trying to save her or make a statement. He was simply refusing to let her sit alone in her pain. That quiet act of solidarity did something profound inside her. It reminded her that kindness didn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it showed up as a chair pulled closer, as someone choosing to stay. As the minutes passed, Sarah felt herself opening up in ways she hadn't expected. She talked about her job, about her mother, about the way the world felt heavier when people assumed they knew her story by looking at her body. Michael listened without interrupting, without offering solutions, and that alone felt healing. He shared pieces of his own life too, about raising Noah alone, about learning to cook badly and love deeply at the same time. Their shared vulnerability created a bridge between them, built not on attraction or sympathy, but on mutual respect. When it was time to leave, Michael stood and paid the bill, not just for his meal but for hers as well, despite her quiet protests. He did it gently, without making it feel like charity. As they walked toward the door, the room felt different. The laughter was gone, replaced by an awkward awareness that something meaningful had occurred. Sarah stepped outside into the cool night air feeling taller somehow, as if her spine had remembered its strength. That night marked a turning point she hadn't seen coming. Sarah didn't suddenly lose weight or become immune to judgment. What changed was her belief that cruelty was inevitable and kindness rare. She began returning to the diner, not because she expected to see Michael again, but because she refused to let fear dictate her life. She started walking in the mornings, not to punish her body, but to care for it. She applied for a better job and joined a community support group where her voice mattered. Weeks later, she did see Michael again, this time at a local park, Noah racing ahead with laughter that felt contagious. Their connection grew slowly, built on shared walks, quiet conversations, and an understanding that healing was not linear. Michael never tried to change Sarah, and she never asked him to fix her. They simply chose each other's company, letting trust grow where shame once lived. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment below and share what this moment meant to you or who it reminded you of. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today. In time, Sarah realized that the moment in the diner had given her more than comfort. It had given her permission to believe that she deserved respect, exactly as she was. Michael taught Noah that strength wasn't about dominance or judgment, but about standing up quietly and doing what was right. Their lives didn't become perfect, but they became fuller, richer with empathy and understanding. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that small acts of kindness can change lives, please like this video, share it, and let us know your thoughts. Your engagement helps stories like this reach others who may be sitting alone, believing they are unseen. Sometimes, all it takes is one person at the next table to remind us of our worth.